This is a podcast from the Queen City Podcast Network.
Welcome to Nerd School.
Yeah.
Suck it, nerd! Suck it, nerd! Suck it, nerd!
Visit me, daddy ass.
Welcome to Nerd School.
My name is Low-Key. Welcome to the Nerd School podcast. You Jack.
You were talking about action comics. Are those still a thing? Is there new one? Are they making new action comics?
Hey.
So have they always have they continuously made action comics from the
Action
beginning?
comics? Yeah. Action comics,
Or do they
detective
stop?
comics. But here's
Is
what they do. They
Is it
have
like nostalgic? They brought it back out, or has it always
no,
been
they
running?
continue it, but then they'll have it like, oh, we're starting over from this. But then they have like legacy numbers. So, and Marvel's done this as well. So we'll get to issue 900, but we're starting over again. And I'll start with like 1, but it'll still like, sometimes it would have like the actual number on the inside, like, oh, this is 1, but it's actually 901.
It's really
and then they'll get to a
901,
point where they're like, okay, we're going to stop this. And then they'll pick right back up with the number. And again, it'll accept it to be like volume 4 or something. But like,
Okay.
yeah, you can like Detective Comics is in the thousands.
They're still
Action
doing those?
Comics- Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I was confused about, because I thought, the few of those that are like generic action comics #1, Marvel, has like Detective Comics, like you said, whatever that one was, DC, I wasn't aware that they were still doing those, but I wondered if it's like they stopped those in the 70s and then they just brought them back now to be nostalgic or to loop somebody in. And like that whole thing is what I'm fascinated about. It's like just yesterday I was reading
Last week,
Yeah?
Action Comics 1051 came out.
You think about it, as long as it's been going on, that doesn't seem like a high number. But if you think about it, it's a lot of times it's one a month sometimes. So it's like that's monthly.
Right.
So think of 1,000 months. That's a long time. Because that's what I'm thinking. Like now
So,
that
and on the
you taught me to get, or
and
you were
on the
showing me.
cover,
What's that? Go ahead.
on the cover, it's a part of the DC's Dawn of DC storyline they got going on right now. But like on the cover, it's like nothing but soups. And it says first supersized issues, more pages, more action. It literally says more pages, more action.
Yeah.
And it's 1051.
Yeah. So being that, so I've been telling you, this is kind of why I want to jump on here and just have a quick talk. So welcome to the Nerd School rando episode with Artstar and Joe. We just had to have a side nerd conversation. We've been having trouble connecting all 4 of us together, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do in our next
But here's my
season.
thing.
So
Here's
we
my
jumped
thing.
on here, but we got some nerd stuff to talk about.
Here's my thing.
What's your thing?
My thing is, I have advocated, I have advocated for this a lot. Like, I mean, I've had discussions with you about this. I've
Yeah.
had discussions with Ando about this. I've had discussions with TBJ about this.
Yeah.
And like, we're put ourselves in a box, right?
Yeah.
But it's like I've always said, like, even if there are times when we all can't get together, and like now, like we don't know what we're doing yet. But there's been times like, where we're just having random 20-minute conversations about comics or action figures. That right there within itself is an episode.
It's nerd stuff. Yeah.
Right.
It's nerd stuff.
So it doesn't have to always be, oh, here's all 4 of us breaking down such and such.
And if you don't know, we all kind of work together, but we all work different shifts. And so we see each other at work, but not always. But every single time I see Art, we end up having a 20-minute conversation about nerd shit that could have been an episode. Exactly. So we always say to each other, that could have been an episode. Why didn't we record that?
Like even me and TBJ, we'll be talking book talk.
Yeah.
That's nerdy. That right there is like, oh, we talked about like TBJ has made me into a book talker.
Whoa.
Yes, TBJ has made the mighty Artstar. The Sixth Wonder. That's
Yeah.
a new one I'm trying out. Sixth Wonder. Into a book talker. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's one of those things where we all got that thing where we can contribute something where it's like, it doesn't necessarily always have to be us trying to be like, we're breaking this down. They're like, oh, it's going to be a whole hour. Like, we
Right.
might go an hour, but that's just only because we're talking nerd shit. But it
Yeah.
might be other times where like we're doing something like this. Like, yeah, it may be just you want to talk about one single simple thing.
So for
and
the
it
for the
just
listeners, let me just explain that what a little context on what we're talking about is that we just finished phase 3
three. Yeah,
of
phase
the
three.
MCU, and naturally we would have thought, oh, let's just jump into phase 4. But you've heard us talk about this here and there, saying side comments that we don't want to just be an MCU podcast. We want to be all things nerd, comics, books, Harry Potter,
But not
Star
even
Wars,
that. Like the fact that
everything.
we're in phase 4
Yeah,
is when we was really into the meat and potatoes of
that's
doing
it.
this,
That's right
right?
too. So
So
phase
like
4
we've done
started.
like
So
WandaVision,
so we kind
Falcon
of
and Winter, like
right. So we
I
kind
mean
of
we didn't, yeah,
jumped
we
all
didn't,
over the
yeah,
place, and
we
so
didn't
now we're
stop
at a
doing
standstill
series,
where like we gotta like step back and figure out how we're gonna do this. Some of us
right?
feel like we should mix up the things and not just go one thing at a time. And so I think we gotta just all be on the same page
Well,
and make sure we're good with it. But those of you listeners who don't know, it's a lot of work to make sure we're all caught up on whatever movie we're going to talk about. We got to rewatch a second time and maybe a third time before we record. So that being said, we got to plan ahead. We got to figure out, okay, if we're going to talk about this movie, we all have to have time to rewatch and get it fresh.
right.
Or if we're going to have other people on the podcast, which we're now talking about, we've found a couple people that we worked with who are Star
Don't give
Wars.
him
Yeah.
too much info.
Don't tell
Don't
them
give
too
him too much.
much.
TBJ would be like, you're giving him too much info.
Giving away the info.
You're putting them in our meat.
So that said, we're thinking about switching up a little bit. So it's all nerds are welcome. It's not just MCU nerds, but we got to figure all that out. So, but while we do that, we've had all these side conversations about nerd stuff that we want to talk about. And one thing I want to talk about is just the MCU and what the rumors are. And so I want to have Artstar, who's always in touch with what's coming up and what's coming out. And I keep seeing these headlines. So I'm going to go through right now. We're going to do a little segment where Artstar
I'm not
explains.
always in touch.
Yeah.
It just, I know some things.
Artstar is going to fill me in on what he's heard about what I'm wondering about. Is that a good topic?
I can try. I won't make any promises.
Because now I get these. I have a Google phone, right? And so there's if you scroll all the way to the left, there's feed, headlines, discover feed, and it gets customized towards you based on what you search and what
the
you scroll.
algorithm.
It listens to you. Yeah, it's an algorithm. It listens to you talk because I see headlines on things I've just talked with somebody in person. I've never typed into my Google phone, and it knows what I'm thinking. So a lot of it's nerd stuff, and so lately I've been getting a lot of headlines about the Thunderbolts. What's going on with the Thunderbolts? Who are the Thunderbolts? And like even pictures where it's like, here's the Thunderbolts movie. It's these guys, and it's like the Russian lady from Black Widow and
Yelena
and
who's
Bucky
Black
and
Widow,
the new Captain America.
U.S. agent.
Yeah, U.S. Oh, and U.S. agent or U.S.
The guy with the punchable face.
And then that guy, and then the guy from the Stranger Things is also the Russian guy. So is there a Thunderbolts movie for sure, or is it just speculation?
There is a Thunderbolts movie for sure.
They've already started filming it, and when does it come out? Is it the next thing?
I think they're supposed to start I think I read they're supposed to start in March.
But you nerds already are well aware of this. So nerds all know.
So just like I mean, we've talked about it, like how what's his name? That just died. Thunderbolt Ross that died, but was replaced now by Harrison Ford.
The actor died. William
Hurt. William
Hurt died. Yeah. So he's been replaced by who?
Harrison Ford.
That's right. We did talk about that. That sounds familiar.
But then I also and it's weird because it's certain characters we don't know exactly who or what they're going to be playing. And
so is Sam Wilson Captain America is part of that, or is that a whole different thing?
That's a whole different thing.
Because that's the other thing I'm seeing headlines on is everyone hates Sam Wilson's Captain America costume now. Nerds are mad. Is that
Yeah,
true?
I didn't even look at that. But I know, like, I guess Sam, they have a leak from Captain America 4, and it
Uh-huh.
was something about like his costume. Like, eh, like I don't. It's that's another subculture of nerddom. It's
Yeah.
when they get all up in a tizzy over like costume changes and
They all mad
the
about that shit.
accuracy of how it is in the comics. But then but then it's like you always have to establish that, like, if it's the MCU, it's not the comics. So while it might, so it's not like it's canon, so to speak, but it is also like legacy type of thing, where it's like we know it, like this person is supposed to be that person, but we're going to put a different spin on it because it's again, it's the MCU. It's not Marvel Comics. It's not Marvel Comics universe. Is it
Okay.
Marvel? Yeah, it is Marvel Comics. Is it? No, it's Marvel Cinematic Universe, not Marvel Comics universe. So it's like it's always going to be something where like this is different than that. This happened this way. Especially when in the comics, these people are constantly dying and coming
Mhm.
back.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm
I mean,
looking.
like,
I
go ahead.
just cheated. I looked up MCU Phase 5. So I'm like, what the fuck's Phase? So we've already had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which was in February of last year. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is in May. The Marvels last November. Deadpool 3 comes out in July, and I hear that's
Right.
got. I know from this Google thing that Wolverine is in that.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman with the
That's
yellow suit, and that
did you see
everybody's
the
excited about that,
did you
right?
see there's a couple of variations of variants of Deadpool in this. So they're like Deadpool with a ponytail and
I
not a
haven't
top
seen.
knot, but just like a ponytail.
So I
It looks like
barely
a
even
Viking
know
Deadpool.
what Deadpool is. Like I've seen the first Deadpool,
Uh-huh.
just kind of watching it. It's kind of in the
He's the merc
background.
with the mouth.
But I didn't know. I started watching with my kids when they were younger, when the first one came out, and then I was quickly like, "Oh shit, this isn't Spider-Man. They can't be watching this. They were little still."
Right.
So I haven't really touched it since. But I've wanted to watch it because I'm like, "Oh, that's funny." But now Deadpool 3 is coming out, and I haven't seen Deadpool 1 all the
So
way, 2, and
you have to watch all of them.
but I
So
didn't
you'll
know
get
they were part of the MCU. I thought that was a separate thing.
well, no, and that's just it. They're not a part of the MCU. So
But 3
Daredevil
is.
3, yeah, 3 is where because like I mean
How
even
can you make just the third one part of the MCU, but the first
well,
2
here's the
aren't?
thing. So it's convergence. It's like the convergence, like Crisis on Infinity Earth kind of thing,
Are they
or
just
like
letting
the
everything
alternate.
in
Well,
now?
it's not.
Everything's in
They're
MCU
not just
now.
letting
Deborah Jo
everything
Rupp.
in. But it's one of those things where like certain elements enter in. Like for instance, like they just added the Netflix Marvel series to the MCU,
I saw they
right?
put all those because so now on my Disney Plus, that's the other thing. My complaint. And I was going to complain to you, Artstar, because you are in charge of all things nerddom in the world.
Yeah,
And it's your
right.
fault this happened. But so my Disney Plus used to be able to go by phase 1, 2, 3 in order.
Mhm.
I used to just pick the next movie. Okay, phase 3, I just watched that. Now that's gone now. I can't look by phases anymore. The phases are like gone.
And Phase
And
just got phased out.
yeah, they phased out the phases. And now I can only look by timeline order,
Uh-huh.
or I have to just look for what I want. And so I looked in timeline order. I was like, okay, let me just try to switch. Can I switch to timeline order? Have I seen everything that happened beforehand, and where would I be in timeline order? So it kind of works, but then all of a sudden they threw Daredevil and
And then you
Jessica
got to realize
Simpson in
stuff like
there, and
Daredevil, Jessica Simpson.
Jessica
Hey,
Simpson. That show was
Daredevil
Daredevil,
and
Jessica
Jessica
Simpson,
Jones.
and
Like Daredevil, I
Luke
think it's
Luke
what
Skywalker,
three seasons
Luther
of
Campbell,
Daredevil. You got 2 seasons of
Luke Cage,
Luke
Nick
Cage.
Cage. Did you know
You got
Nicolas Cage took his name from Luke Cage? Did you know that? He was a big Luke Cage fan. That's where he got the name Nick
I think I
Cage.
believe that I read that before. But then
Okay.
you got 2 seasons of Jessica Jones. So like it's adding a lot. But then you also have like, there's Agents of Shield stuff to the point where it's like they kind of like kicked them out of the MCU. Like all of that stuff hasn't been brought.
It's still not in MCU, right?
Right. But then it's crazy because, Agents of Shield was dealing with Quantum Realm before
MCU.
like right around the time the first Ant-Man kind of mentioned it, but like by this time Agent Fitz from what's his name? From Agents of Shield had already been in the quantum, like literally the end of season 7
Let me ask you this,
is
Art. Let me ask
basically
you
about
this.
them
Let me ask you a
coming out of the
question. Can I
quantum
say
realm.
this? Can I say
Yeah.
this? Can I ask you
Go
a
ahead.
question?
Go ahead.
Is it too much? Is it too much? Can't we just
It is. That's just, and I think that's why it's one of those things where it's like they're picking, because for so long the Netflix shows aren't canon. The Netflix shows aren't
Yeah.
canon.
They're
They're not
legend.
canon.
Yeah.
Boom, here we are. We canon now.
Now
Like
they're canon.
Kingpin, like literally in the Echo series, spoiler alert, there are snippets of Kingpin from in the Daredevil Netflix series in Echo. So it's like they're taking and picking what they want to put
So
into the MCU.
let's talk about this like logically, theoretically, just about this whole thing, this universe and the MCU, not canon. What are the downsides and the upsides? So like say I'm Vincent D'Onofrio, right? I play Kingpin. I was cast.
Right.
He was in the stuff before it was canon, right? Before it was MCU and all that.
Right.
So does anything change for him once it becomes MCU? Like if it becomes MCU, does the back, like, is his agent pushing for him to be, hey, we're trying to get this. Hey, Vincent, just good morning. Hoping you have a good breakfast. Just want to let you know we're making some headway in getting this to be canon, getting this to be an MCU. We'll
Well,
let
I
you
think
know.
it's
Like,
also
does he get a
depends on
bonus? Like, does he? Oh,
how
I'm
big
now
of
an
a like
MCU contract.
Vincent D'Onofrio loves playing Kingpin.
Yeah, he's just
So
having
it's
fun.
like, right.
He's
So,
great at it. He looks good.
He's looking forward to being in this, Daredevil Reborn. So it's like you have certain, like Kamala. I mean, I was Iman Vellani. She loves playing Miss Marvel,
Well, she's a big
right?
nerd and a big comic book writer and all
But like
this.
even if they're like some you're in the acting world, and like sometimes you get a role that
Yeah.
you love no matter what it is,
And you'll play it all the time.
you want to keep, even you're not sitting there saying I'm setting myself up to be pigeonholed into being this is that guy all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things where like I love playing this. I can sit there and do some other stuff, but then when I do this, I feel I'm excited because it's
he's
so
excited.
big.
He loves the role. He's excited, but you don't. As far as you know, there's no like special compensation. Like suddenly you're now on MCU as opposed to Marvel.
I mean, it could be. I don't know. I can't attest to the backdoor goings and
I could see that being the case. It'd be like, okay, sorry, sorry. I know you wanted this to be part of MCU, but Vincent's not on board. We got to get Vincent on board first, and Vincent's saying he's not joining the MCU unless we do this. We give him this much. Or is it the opposite? Is it like Vincent's willing to take a pay cut in order to be part of the MCU? Because is there more? Does that come with
I
more
think the
royalties
MCU
or something?
and the fact that it's Disney, it's like it's so big
Yeah.
that I don't see them bending. Like it'd have to be a special kind of actor for them to bend the knee.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio. Like they would love to have
if Leonardo DiCaprio said like put me in as Havoc or Cyclops, if he's like make me Cyclops,
yeah,
they would move heaven and hell to make
that happen.
Cyclops.
So they would cut everybody else. Sorry, Hugh Jackman, you can't be Wolverine anymore. We got.
Well, they wouldn't see not even because Hugh Jackman is iconically Wolverine.
He's iconically Wolverine. But here's these other rumors. When you come to Logan and Wolverine, I'm seeing these pictures online of Ted Theodore Logan from Bill and Ted, Keanu Reeves as Wolverine. What's behind all this? Tell me everything. Why am I seeing that?
I don't know. Maybe it's there's that thing where it's like Hugh Jackman Keanu, they're about the same age. But it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, right. But
it's
he
one
is
of those
getting
things,
older. He's getting
right? Right. So
older.
it's like
But
now
Wolverine's
trying to
not
figure out
young.
who they
Wolverine's like
can do when
300
they
years
end
old.
up replacing him.
Yeah.
Like a lot
Yeah.
of people, like they love James Marsden's Cyclops.
Okay.
You know who
Yeah.
James
Yeah. Yeah.
Marsden
James
is?
Marsden. Yeah. Yeah. I only know his name's James Marsden from that show he just did on Netflix where he's
Jury
undercover
duty.
court
Jury
jury
duty.
duty. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty
Hilarious.
cool. That was a fun thing.
Yeah.
If that was real, like I still am not convinced that was real. Like I'm not. I'm like 70% sure it was real, but I'm 30% means like the whole thing was planned. They just got a kid who pretended he didn't know and he knew. But I don't know. Who cares? So what do I know? I don't know anything. I'm just an idiot hosting the Nerd School podcast by History for Jerks.
Nerd School Podcast.
So many nerd questions. So one other, can we pivot towards comic books for a second?
Yeah, we can do whatever the
Whatever we
nerd
want,
wins, whichever way the nerd win both.
Because I had a
Also, a side note,
Yeah.
would a nerd win be a fart?
It could be BO, it could be bad breath, it could be Dorito breath.
I feel like it would be like a fart though. It'd be one of those things where like, you've had some beans or something.
Dude, that's a
and it
nerd
was
win.
like
Who broke nerd win in
win.
like a Dorito fart. That'd be the
Right.
worst. That's
Or
a nerd
burrito
win.
fart.
A burrito. Yeah. Burritos in comic books. Yeah. So, okay. So into the comic book world, I just had a revelation the other day, and I've kind of teased this in some previous episodes, but I was like, I'm a nerd. I am now a fucking nerd because I was just sitting in my house on I think it was like a Friday night or something. And I'm sitting in my house. The TV's not even on. There's no music on. Maybe I had a beer, but I'm staring at comic books on my computer. I've got a Hoopla account through my library where I'm currently reading a Star Wars comic and what is the other one? Oh, a Superman comic, a DC Superman comic. I've got my Amazon Kindle account reading the G.I. Joe Volume 2 compendium where I'm like on issue 19 of the
So
old
that
G.I.
through
Joe from the 80s.
Comixology?
It's kind of through Comixology, but now it's switched
Okay.
over to Kindle, whatever. So I had
Yeah.
I had already bought those.
That's
years ago.
so frustrating.
Yeah,
Like yesterday,
drive me nuts.
was it yesterday? Yeah. Yesterday I was, because I read from everything, right?
Yeah,
So,
well,
like,
you're
I'm
the one who
reading-
told me about Comixology.
I'm reading the new Venom series. So
Okay.
it's like I went in, I'm like, okay, I can't, and I was using my Kindle. So I'm like, okay, I can't go in through Comixology, even though I can look at the books that's in my library.
Yeah,
Then
but you have
so
to look
now
at them through Kindle.
Right. So then I go to Kindle and
Yeah.
I open up the Kindle app on the Kindle and I go to, let's say, look at the comics. They're like, oh, it's not purchasing through this. So now I have to go to the Kindle storefront.
Yes.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
And then
I gotta
download
keep
it that
reading
way through there. It's a
Right.
mess. That's a
And then
mess.
then once you download it, I have to then go back to, I don't know if you ever return them. Because if you don't return them, the download's just sitting there. Did you know that?
No, I don't. Do you
Yeah.
even need to return it? Like I've
See,
never returned
I
anything.
mean, you don't have to, but
Yeah.
it's the download is taking up space. So if you go into the comic
yeah,
and you either, I don't know if you got a touch screen, but if you like,
I just use
touch
my
on-
laptop, so it's like I'm
so
on
you-
the
yeah,
internet.
Yeah, if you
doing
right
it.
click on it, if you click on the comic and up in the corner, see the hamburger menu,
Yeah,
hit the thing, it'll give you the option
yeah.
to return download.
Oh, yeah. I haven't done that because
Because other than that,
I don't
it's
know
just
that I
sitting in
even
your library.
download it. I think I'm watching them on the internet. Like I don't think they're downloading on my computer. Maybe they are.
Well, mine usually when I do that, it ends up just downloading. But like, yeah, it's so much just to get to the book. I'm like,
Yes, that's a frustration. And that's actually kind of, I'm glad you brought that up because that's part of the thing. Because Comixology, when you told me about it, when I first signed up, I was like, this is great. This is all I need. And they had so much on there at the time. And so much of it was available with your membership. I was like, I already have Amazon Prime, so it's already with my membership. I'm not paying anything extra. I can look into these historical comics, especially for nerd school. It's like whenever we talk about a character, or if I'm playing Snap, and it's like, I don't know who Arrow is. I like their power. It's cool that I just use Arrow. Who the fuck's Arrow? And I look it up and I read some comics. And now I'm reading a comic about some character I didn't know earlier in the day, that kind of thing. It was kind of cool. But now it's such a mess. Nothing's free anymore. All I can read is whatever. So I was really only doing that to catch up on G.I. Joe because I'm obsessed with chronology and wanting to read everything. So I want to read all. And I read G.I. Joe comics as a kid, but only a few. I want to catch up on all of it so that I'm current now to what's now. Because they're on episode, issue 300 or whatever. I think they might have even stopped it. But then in the meantime, Art kind of taught me ways to look for. I probably shouldn't even advertise this free comics or whatever, and so I found a whole website where you can read
You
the
should
comics.
always,
Comics.
always, what's the word I want to say? Always, support your comic shops
Yes,
and
you should always
creators
purchase them.
and
Yes. And I do want to buy these. I do, but
yeah.
I just discovered just to see what's out there. I discovered you can get current comics downloaded as long as you're willing to look at a penis after every page. There's a couple websites where you can read each page, look at a penis, and you may get a virus on your computer. So if you're okay with possibly getting a virus and having to stare at a penis, like a throbbing penis.
We do not condone doing that.
No, you shouldn't do that. You should. I'd rather.
Joe's doing this for you guys.
I'm doing it for the research for the listeners, so you don't have to.
For you guys.
And do yourself a favor. Don't stare at a penis and put your computer at risk. Just go buy a comic book for, was it $3, $4? I don't know how much they are.
Yeah.
I just remember they used to be like 90 cents or 79 cents.
If you're going to really, like I think for you, someone like you, because you're if you was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you would be what is it, Chronicom? I think they call these guys. They're like timekeepers. But they're sitting there making sure everything runs the way that it's supposed. They're like watchers, but not watchers. But it's almost like they don't interfere unless they necessarily have to.
Unless they have to.
But they also making sure that things run the way that they're supposed to happen.
The problem is I want to know everything, and I want to know it all now, and it's impossible.
But what I was going to say was the fact that like you like to read like that. It's one of those things where, like, if you look at comic houses and comic shops, especially online ones, like they always have sales
back issues and stuff.
So
that's the other thing. You introduced me to
like,
that Midtown Comics.
Or like speaking of comics, there's a mini con. I have to work because normally I usually go every year, but there's Charlotte mini con Saturday. But it's like. It's
this coming Saturday?
This coming Saturday.
I gotta work
at
at the convention
Grady
center.
Cole Center. Grady Cole Center.
Oh, the Grady Cole Center.
On 6th Street. Or
Drive, right over by. We could walk to.
Yeah. But it's like it's one of those things where it's like because you're like something like Marvel Unlimited, which you just subscribed to.
So that was the other thing I want to talk about. So I was so into Comixology and this other thing that I subscribed to Marvel Unlimited because I got a deal that Art told me, hey, by the way, it's on sale until January. You got until this date to get this deal, and it was like $60 for a year or something.
I think you got $150 when you got it.
Yeah, so that's the normal price, but I think I got it for $49 or something. And, and you were like, you can't afford not to. Then I was like, $49 to read every single Marvel anything for a year. And in my mind, it's like a challenge. Like I gotta get my money's worth. I gotta see so many comics.
But the cool thing about them, that's different from Comixology though, is like it's easier to drill down.
On the Marvel Unlimited? Marvel Unlimited is great. They got a great interface.
You can sit there and be like, boom, I want to
look by it's really cool.
And I finally figured out rifles off sort of comic now. You can just go straight to it. Like, oh, Andy said the first appearance of such and such. Let me type this in, Marvel Unlimited. Put it up, bam.
Part of what I wanted to do and what I've been envious of,
Yellow Pages,
you guys, like you nerd guys, I've been envious of comic book nerds and what I assumed all of you did that I was jealous of, that I wish I could get into, that I thought was too late at the time, was the anticipation of the next issue of reading this and to be continued. And now we got to wait till that comic book comes out next month. And then on comic book day, I'm going to go out, which I thought was weekly. I thought it was comic book weekly. So I'm going to go out
Yeah, it
to
was
my
Wednesday.
comic
Like
shop.
tomorrow is new comic book day.
And that's Tuesday or Wednesday. Wednesdays are new comic book day. Is it every Wednesday or is it just once a
New
month?
comic book day. Every Wednesday, NCBD.
So, but not every comic is new, right? It's like some comics, and the next week it'll be different comics.
Yeah, but I mean, it depends. Like some comics that come out, some comics will have it'll be like a bi-weekly run. Some will have it where it's like they're every week. Some may be like, for instance, like, you haven't gotten onto it yet, but like the Cobra Commander, that just came out last week, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't come out again until next month.
Till the end.
So so limited series sometimes usually come out every month. But then you have let's say if it's some book, it'll be like sometimes it'll be every month, or it might be like a bi-weekly. So like you just have to
these Skybound ones are the ones that caught me because the Energon thing,
Energon Universe,
Transformers, and G.I. Joe are in the
Void
same
Rivals,
universe.
and
I'm excited about that, and Art explained that all to me, and then just knowing that there's a Duke issue 1, and then Cobra Commander issue 1. They're like you said, a limited series, so there's only going to be 5 or something of each one.
I think that's 6.
6.
I think it's 6 issues each. Yeah.
And so, but they're only monthly, so they're gonna trickle that out. But I already saw some preview of Duke issue 5, even though 1 is only the one that's out. It's like, how do they already know what?
Yeah, if you
5?
if you go to I think you can probably find it online too, but at the comic shop they have this thing called previews, and it'll be like this thick. It's almost like the Sears Christmas catalog. You know what I mean? From back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's just like this thick thing where they have what they call solicits. So it'll have like the covers for the books. It'll give you like a synopsis, and pretty much that's what people who have subscriptions where they order from. They're like, oh, I want to pick this book up. They go to the comic shop, like, yeah, I want to get this from this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like this book here comes out where you can, they even do it online. Like you'll sit there, if you start following, like the fact that you're starting to see nerd shit in your feed, it'll be sometimes you swipe to the left. It's the left, right? No, the right. Yes, the left. Just swipe over.
Swipe
and
right, swipe left, swipe right.
And it might start telling
you
about, it might start telling you about this book that's coming out 3 months from now. Or you get click into it, you go to some website like Den of Geeks or something, and you can actually sit there and see that oh, this major storyline's coming, and it'll be April of 2024. Have the first 2 pages of the comic or something like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't wait for this to come out.
So that was what I was surprised about. So these writers who are writing this, they have to have the comic books done and finished way in advance in order for these previews to come out. Right? So they probably finished this back in November. Some shit.
Well, yeah, before, yeah.
And then they trickle it out here and there. I guess what I was going to say with that was, so I was jealous of that. So I was trying to, I want to go buy those comics when they come out, be excited on comic book day to go do that. So I've read both Cobra Commander and Duke, sacrificing.
Oh, so you read Duke and Cobra Commander 1?
While looking at a penis every page. So I did do that.
But you haven't read, you didn't read the Void Rival stuff. You didn't read the Void Rival
stuff before that, right? No, then the Transformers stuff I didn't,
so
because I got to start somewhere. I can't go back to the beginning of time. But what I am doing,
I think I showed you.
Yeah,
Void Rivals, they're coming out with a trade of that. I think next month. Let's say if you could, you could probably find it online.
When you say a trade of that, explain that to the listeners.
Well, so it's Void. It contains Void Rivals 1 through 6. So you get that's what
the anthology type of thing.
Grant P. When he goes to the library, like I said, you get the books from the library.
Yeah,
you're reading it'll be
through Hoopla,
100 pages or whatever.
Yeah,
or Hoopla. Yeah, so it's just a stack full of
Hoopla. I'm finding is hit or miss. Hoopla is hit or miss what it has. Sometimes it has stuff.
I
Sometimes
can't
it
even
doesn't.
use Hoopla. Hoopla does not love me. Every time I try to do something, it tells me I've reached my quota.
Yeah,
Try
me too.
again
Yeah, I keep.
tomorrow or something like that. I'm like, whatever. I
Well,
just stick to Libby, and right now I'm just listening to audiobooks. And I got
yeah,
Comixology. If I can't find it on Comixology,
yeah,
I'll wait for it to, like I use Google Play. Google Play, their books, they always have like
yeah,
awesome sales on comics. Like it'll be like, oh, this book is 70% off. It collects issues, blah, 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 blah for
right.
$6.99, as
Yes,
opposed to being a crap ton of money. But the problem, well, I guess because I'm getting them digital, it doesn't make a difference. Like I used to get like because I listened to the Raging Bullets podcast, one of
yeah,
their sponsors is a company, I forgot, I think it's called DCB Comics or something like that. But they specialize in trades and
yeah.
omnibuses. But they give you like these crazy discounts. It'd be like 40% off, 60% off.
Is that
And
on
then, like I used to
digital?
get those,
Is
like,
that all
yeah,
digital or just
no,
or
you would actually
physical?
get it would be physical. You would so I would get a box of
Yeah,
like these graphic novels, like, oh yeah, like but I don't want to collect this shit.
yeah.
I'm
That's
not
why I feel
I'm
like I
like it's
should
like
be.
now I'm getting stuff.
That's why I feel like I should be able to get stuff free because I just want to read the content. I want to know the story. I don't have any interest in holding the physical thing that's going to be worth something someday. I'm not investing in this. I just want to know the story so I can get the next one.
But
And
see, that's
if
what
I have to
but
look at a
so with
penis in order to do
that
that, why do I
that
have to
being
look at a penis
said,
every page? But then I found
it's
out
one of those
the
things
next
where
day I looked at one of
after
those comics and there wasn't a penis. It was like just an ad for something else. And so all that time I realized, shit, I looked at that same penis like for 60 times when all I had to do was like refresh the page and it would have been a different ad that I look at every time. But instead I had to stare at a penis the whole time. And I think the penis
But
was
here's
trying
the
to sell
thing.
me like Viagra or something. Like it no it's
Here's the
looking at
thing.
the
So
target audience. And I'm at the
if
age
you
where I
go
shouldn't be
into
able to get sorry.
if you go to the comic shop or if you online and you order it from some place like, let's say Midtown Comics,
Okay,
which you
so
can sit
tell me
there and be
about
like,
Midtown
okay,
Comics. Is that
I
an
want
online only Midtown Comics or is that a physical
no,
place?
they're in New York. They have like I think a
Oh,
couple of locations in New York.
okay.
But what you can do is you can go in there and be like, oh, I want this Cobra Commander #1, but I want cover D,
Yeah, they have a bunch of
right? So you can
covers.
actually get different, yeah. Or like even if you go into the comic book shop, sometimes if you just go in the one and check it out, you'll see that it'll be like, okay, this is the new book that come out. But then sometimes not all comic book shops get all of the covers. So so some of the fun to comic nerds and going to the comic shop is like, ooh, am I going to get this? Even sometimes, depending on if you have a relationship with the person at your LCS, local comic shop, it's like, let's say this book comes out with a certain variant and it's something that you subscribe to. They're like, hey, Joe's coming in today. You know what? I'm gonna give him this limited edition rare cover that's
Yeah.
printed to like only 5,000. I'm gonna put that in his box. So Joe
Oh,
goes to pick up a stack of books, and here's like this one, like, oh shit, I got one of the cool variants. Like, as someone who
okay.
plays Snap, you know how
Yeah.
awesome it is sometimes to get a
Now I
cool
get the
variant.
variant. So the variant thing is sort of in Snap is sort of an offshoot of that. Variant covers and variant things like
Right.
that. Which I was just looking to see to buy one because I even before I found the penis page, I was looking to see can I just you said have it delivered, just order it online, have it delivered to you,
And have it delivered. Yeah.
and so I was looking and there was a couple of them, the Cobra Commander and Duke each had issues with like you said rare covers that were not already going for $900. And this is something that just came out.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I thought something had to
Right.
be nine
And
hundred
see, and
dollars
that's one of those
if it's from
and that's one of those
1950.
things where like if you go to the comic book shop and you get there like early when they first look, oh, they're out. And you go look at you walk to the new releases, you look at the wall, you be like, oh, they got this cool cover. Let me get this. And then let's say you come in later
And I'm
on
buying
and they
that
be like,
at
hey,
retail price, like $4 or something.
yeah, yeah. So you come in, they be like, hey, do you have cover D? I'm like, oh no, we only had 10 of them and they were gone by this morning, kind of thing. So it's
So
it's
some
it's it's like that where it's like,
some lucky
Well, some
guy
people they'll
got
go
that,
in and they'll get
and it's worth
right.
900 already.
Yep.
Wow.
It's I bought a Derwent Frost adult Happy Meal from McDonald's the other day, and it gives you like these little McNugget bites they call, right? The
Yeah.
gold McNugget that's in that one, I think it sells for buku money on eBay.
Did you get that one?
But it's like one of those things where it's like I didn't get that one. I didn't get that one. But it's like it's the luck of the draw kind of thing.
It's like a lottery.
So it's like right, or like let's say if you go in and you buy like blind buy or blind bags from little minifigs and things, like you don't know what's you get it, but you grab it, you can sit there, you open it, and you might get the rare exclusive chase, or you could just sit there and be like, hey, hold on to this, like a box of Wheaties from 35 years ago.
What I regret
with that. This.
Yeah.
It could be in it. This could be a chase. Who knows? I can sell this box for $7,000 because there's a chance that the rare one is in it. Might not be, but the fact that there's a chance. So with these covers, it's like someone went and they got the comic, like, oh, I was lucky enough to pick up this comic. Let me buy a couple of them, and I'm going to take this, and I'm going to flip it. Oh, price gouging. They're like people who's buying PS5, buying 3 of them just because they saw 3 of them, and then the other 2, they sell on eBay for $30,000
because they know they were so rare you couldn't get them. Yeah, you couldn't get them at the time. Now PS5s are cheap now, right? Because you can get them. Is that right?
No, they still the same price, but you can find them.
Yeah, you can get them now. So
but
what I'm saying, you don't have to spend $1,000 to get one now.
Nah, you don't. Not unless you overseas and can't get them where you're at. But for the most part, you walk in with your, I think it's 500, 550.
That all reminds me of when Andy was teaching me about Heroclix, and I lived in Chicago at the time, and he told me about this thing where you could go to the comic shop and play in a tournament. And I think it was free to get in the tournament, and you just had to buy a box of Heroclix, and 3 Heroclix or maybe 4 came in the box, and it was a blind tournament. So you just buy your box, and that's who you have to play with. Whoever's in that box is your team, whether you can figure out how to do their powers or what. And I was still new to it. So I bought one, and I got Nightcrawler, which was like the best. And if you ever play against Nightcrawler, everybody said it's not fair because he can phase. So he just can go through walls and you just hit somebody, go back through the wall. You hit somebody, go through the wall. You can easily just fuck with people and just win all the time. And then you'd win all the stuff. I can't remember what even the prize was, but I got Nightcrawler, and I was like, oh my God, I got the best one. And everybody wanted it. And somebody was like, I will give you, right now, I will give you $300 for that Nightcrawler or something like that. And I was like, fuck no, if you're offering me that kind of money, it must be great. So I didn't.
Right.
And now in hindsight, he's like somewhere in my garage, whatever. I don't even know if Andy might have him. I don't know. I got bored of Heroclix and didn't really do it anymore. And so it's like, I should have just took that $300. But I would have spent it on beer anyway, so who cares? But anyway, and then I screwed up. Like I got hit by a dumpster. Like somebody had the Hulk and I screwed up and I didn't phase back through the wall just because I took for granted it was so easy. And then he picked up a dumpster, hit me with it, and killed me.
And see, that's that's almost like playing any type of game like that. Like you play Pokemon.
Yeah.
Your cards are face down. You won't know who you pull until you flip it over. Yeah. You know, that's the awesomeness with stuff like that. It's like
that's what's fun.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Even with Snap that we play, we don't we know what we have in our hand. But once we from the starting 4, that 5th card that comes out, we don't know what it is unless we have Howard the deck.
Or Iron Lad who checks it out too. But so that's what I really want to do is, have you played Heroclix with Andy? I thought he was going to teach you.
I have.
You got to play with him so you get the mechanics of it a little bit.
He said we should, get together soon and play it again. He gave me a shit ton of them.
So he gave you some? Yeah, because he had, I think he's got
he gave me
I've got
a shit ton,
I think I got Mr. Freeze here, but anyway, I know it's changed a lot since I played. Like they're all, and that's what kind of why I stopped, because they kept coming out with new rules and new changes, and I was like, I just started understanding the rules as they were. You can't give me more because now I don't know. It's always changes too much.
But then there's also But and it's one of those things where it's like with sort of like how with Snap, they come out with a new card and you
Yeah.
have to figure out
Yeah,
the
figure out how to
best
do
way
it.
to play it. So
Right.
it's one of those things where like it's all about repetition. So it's like you're playing more. The more you
Yeah.
play it, certain
The
characters
better you
you
get. Yeah.
automatically know that they can do this or they can
My
counter that. But
Stegron
then
deck,
you
I'm
also
on
start.
fire with my Stegron deck right now. I'll say that. And I didn't even
I've
want
never used.
Stegron. I just
I have
got him
never used
free.
Stegron.
I never
I
wanted
don't.
him.
Yeah,
I just made a deck because
I
I
haven't.
got him. And I was like, fuck, I'm
Mhm.
dominating with this Stegron deck. So,
I
but that
got
said,
Meek. I bought Meek,
Meek, yeah, I
and
got
I didn't
Meek
even
too.
use Meek. I think I won. I won like a couple of matches with him, but I ain't even finished Grandmaster. I didn't
Yeah,
even do the
I don't
weekend
have
thing with
him.
Grandmaster.
Yeah.
And Grandmaster, like from what the play I've seen, is awesome. I think
Yeah.
Susie was telling Andy like, oh, she was telling us on Polo
Yeah.
how she was using Grandmaster. So it's like
Yeah. Somebody kicked my ass with
it's so.
Grandmaster in some kind of crazy way. And I
I
was
feel
like,
like
oh,
Grandmaster and Stegron would be a good combo
could
because
be.
Stegron moves the card over, right?
Well, I use Stegron with Kingpin. Basically, just like throw somebody at my Kingpin and Kingpin
Oh,
fucks them up.
but did they change Kingpin? They changed. No, they changed the location.
Well,
That location where it's
and they
like if the
changed it. It's not
card,
only on turn 6. Every turn he can crush you. If you move to there. So I
right?
like that, and I didn't even know that. And then I didn't know they changed Blade. Like sometimes I don't know till I play him. That said, what I wanted to tell you about is Andy and I have another brother. We have two other brothers, but uh, our half brother, the oldest one of all of us, the king nerd of everybody, the one who taught us D&D.
The
He
king
was
nerd.
yeah.
The king nerd.
He's like, I think he's like 10 years older than me. He invented uh I taught him Heroclix when Andy taught me, and then I moved back from Chicago. I moved back to Ohio for a little bit and hung out with him a little bit. And I taught him what I knew of Heroclix, and right away he was like, "Yeah, get rid of that rule book." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "We're making our own rules," and I was like, "What? We are?" Because like he would like adapt D&D for us. Like he would
Mhm.
make up shit, and it
Okay.
was always better than the real rules. So I don't even know that I
Mhm.
know how to play real D&D. I just know Beef's rules. We call him Beef. His name was Beef. Beef was the left tackle in football, and he was really fast, and the quarterback named him Beef because he never let anybody pass him. So Beef taught we played Beef rules. So we took all these hero clicks that I had, and he was like, "Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a campaign." And he had these little pieces of tape that he would like put on the bases to change the stats based on each turn, each
Uh-huh.
game we played. Each game we'd like
Uh-huh.
at the end of the game, he'd take everybody who died. Okay, they're now dead. The ones who lived, it's like, okay, these guys all gain experience, and we're gonna make this chart, and we're gonna roll, stat changes. And they get better based on the experience that they got. And he had this whole chart from
And
D
you
and
know
D
what
to
that?
me. It was
So
crazy fun.
you know
But
what they?
yeah,
You know what they do nowadays with stuff like that?
huh?
They play. They have video games now called Soulslike, right?
Say it
So
again.
basically, what happens is
What's it called?
Soulslike,
Souls.
Souls, so
Souls.
like, right?
Souls
So what
like.
happens? Like Hades is Hades is a big is one that's kind of big now. But what happens is you do it's called runs, right? So it's
Yeah.
like how back in the day you played video games, you couldn't save shit, right? I mean,
Yeah.
NBA
Yeah.
Jam, you could sit there and save your stats when you
Yeah.
put your initial. But like for the most part, you play until you die or your quarter, you got to put more quarters in, or until you beat the game. So what a Souls like is like you sit there, you have a run, you'll sit like, oh, like Hades is you're trying to get out of Hades. So you'll sit there, you'll play, you'll die. But each time you die, you'll get stronger, you'll get things so you can like level up to the point where like you'll get to a point where like, oh, I can get further along in the game, but each time I die, I get further,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like that where it's like, oh, you died, yeah, but I've gained a whole lot of experience points. Now I'm OP and I'm going in and I'm killing everything. And then you get to one level and like now you get to this new level and you go like, yeah, and immediately get cut down. And now you have to work your way all the way back up. But you still
Souls
keep your
like.
experience points.
It's a
Souls like.
subgenre of action role playing games known for high levels of difficulty and emphasis on environmental storytelling, typically in a dark fantasy setting. Sounds like Beef probably knows all about this, and that's like how he based that on. But the way he created the mechanics is like we had these storylines each week that we played together. I met up with him like once a week. Like he had at that time he was having a hard time. Like his wife left him and his house burned down all at the same time, and then he had a heart attack, like all like in 1 week. And so he like found himself like alone all this time, and his kids, he only saw his kids on the weekends. And so my dad was like, just spend time with him, will you? So he and I would just hang out once a week and play Heroclix. And he made up this whole mechanic system. I mean, this guy should be a millionaire. Like the stuff that he used to invent when we were kids, and like, I mean, just like, and it was so cool because we were like, characters would die, and then with HeroClix, each one had like you would have a bronze, a silver, and a gold. Like they got better as they were, and so we would like, okay, you've now upgraded to the silver one because you've got this many experience points. You need this many points to get to the gold one, you know. And so it was just like we had our faction of guys, he had his faction of guys, and then sometimes we'd work together against the evil guy. You know, it was like crazy the stuff he would invent. So yeah, he would love that stuff. He loves all those games like, oh, I don't know, what's that one where you're like a Viking going through
God of War,
nah,
Valhalla.
uh maybe you're not a Viking. Like the just like one word, and it's like is it myrrh or it's like mirth or all right. Well, with that, we talked about a lot of nerd shit. I'm trying to think of the stuff I didn't bring up. But we've been talking for
But
for
here's
now.
the thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
one of those things where it's like we don't have to do it all at once because
yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna have more days like this. Like I feel like so this is kind of like, we call this like a nerd talk, but this is kind of like a I want to call this state of nerddom with
The
Joe and
state of
I.
nerddom.
Or
Yes.
like the tag team of nerds, some shit like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
one of those things where it's like I said in the very beginning, I feel like this is something we should have always
Yeah.
incorporated into what we're doing.
We should have been doing this all along. Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't
Just to
necessarily
stop for
always,
a second.
yeah,
Let's just stop
right.
and say,
But
what are you
even,
reading?
and
What are
again,
we working on? Yeah.
right.
What are we doing?
Even,
Yeah.
and I don't want to, I hope TBJ don't hear this and be like, damn, Art. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, now that we're in phase 4,
Yeah.
it's probably like, like in the title, it should like, let's say, even if we like diverged into something else,
Yeah.
if we're dealing with a phase 4 thing, we could just put in the title phase 4 and then semicolon whatever we're discussing.
Yeah.
And then the next one, maybe it's just like me and Andy talking
Yeah.
about
Sure.
who,
Yeah.
winning the battle of Batman versus Owlman,
Well, and you can have one where you just talk
something like
about
that.
wrestling video games.
Right, exactly. So something like
Because
that.
there's so much now. There's so much out there. I feel like this kind of change that we're thinking about doing is kind of perfectly coinciding with the fact that the MCU is a big mess now. Like just what we talked about with
And
adding all this
also,
extra
to be
stuff. It's all a
fair,
mess. So we're all a mess. Nerddom is
to
a
be,
mess.
to be fair,
To be
to be
fair,
fair, it's also the evolution of Joe,
yeah, yeah.
right? So
Well, that's
like
it.
you're
We need more
leaning
nerds because
you're
I'm a
beginning
nerd now.
you're
You
leaning
taught me to
more
be a
into
nerd.
your nerddom.
Yeah, yeah. So we can
But
it can
nerddom
evolve.
is ever it's ever evolving, but it's also your like once you've accepted nerdology, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're constantly absorbing it. It's
yeah,
like chakra. It's like it's all around you.
yeah.
It is the fourth. So like you're constantly pulling it in. Like then you'll find out like you're a wrestling nerd. No one may have ever called you this, but you are, for all intents and purposes, a wrestling nerd,
I'm an old school wrestling
right?
nerd because I don't know what's going on now.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you like the fact that you're so deep in the old school shit,
Yeah,
you know what's going on. It's just different players now.
yeah,
Same game, different players.
yeah. That's true.
And
That's true.
and in some instances, they're like third and fourth generation
Yeah, yeah. All their
players
kids. I
that
can't
just
wait
happen to be the new players now.
Yeah, I want to see what the Bushwhackers kids do. I can't wait to
It's
see
like
that.
even weird looking at some old shit of Rey Mysterio and you see little Dominic Mysterio, and
Yeah.
now he's like 6'3". You know, like his dad comes to his chest, but he's like, now he's like, I'm Dirty Dom.
That's how
Kick
that was
his
with
ass.
my son. My son,
Yeah.
he's towers over me. But I think that's what I was gonna say. Like, I feel like I'm in nerd high school, or I've graduated high school, and now I'm a nerd, and now I got to go to nerd college. But then when we start Star Wars, we got our people who don't know about Star Wars, and there's even, I think, if I can make this work, there's gonna be some D&D play. Nerd School is gonna play some D&D this upcoming season.
Roll 20.
Roll 20, baby. I think that'd be great. Watching TBJ learn how D&D works would be hilarious. I want to have an episode of us making characters, like just a whole episode of that. Just building a character and dumbing it down for nerds. Like, it's Nerd School. Teach us how to make a character. That'd be fun.
Right,
So,
like that would be. It'd be the
yeah.
greatest thing
Okay.
ever.
So,
Yeah, I
so
mean, I was,
with
I was
that
just-
art,
I was,
this-
I was thinking, and the fact that you were talking about building characters, like I just started a new run of Skyrim, and I created
Skyrim. That's the game he
a
loves.
dark
B-Flow.
elf.
Skyrim.
Skyrim came out in 2013.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the
great
game. That's the game
I
that
have-
Beef was playing
I
all
have
the time.
Skyrim on everything.
Yeah.
I have it on everything. And
you and Beef
it's
will get
just
along.
like-
Yeah, he loves Skyrim.
So it just like I sat there, I went through, and I created this new character. And now because I've had this new character on a different console, it's like now it's like, oh, I'm gonna start off as a mage, so I have like magical powers, but I would still do like in the game, if you crouch down and most of the time you're just crouching and running around doing stuff while you crouched, it increases your stealth to the point where it's like once you get to a high level, I'm just sitting there walking by you, picking your pockets, and you don't even know it. I'm just like a ninja. But it's like it's one of those things where it's like yeah. So I was just thinking about that when you was talking about the whole building our character in D&D.
Yeah,
Like
that's
a
his
lot of
favorite game,
times,
Skyrim.
games
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
the best part of the game is creating your character.
yeah. Yes,
It's like I want to. You can spend hours in character creation
Yeah.
before you even dive in to the actual game.
I
Because
gotta
it's
say,
like,
the last wrestling game I played, I never even played it. I spent my whole time making wrestlers.
Right.
And by the time I was done, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put this away now. I never
Right.
even wrestled it. Like, I never even wrestled anybody. Like, because I was too busy making characters. Like, because it was so in detail. You could like upload pictures, and it's like, that's a guy I know from work. Like, there's like a
and
guy in the
choose
tech department.
moveset and
I made everybody at BPA at one point, and then put them all in a Royal Rumble and watch them all wrestle. So, anyway, with that, Nerd School, Art is now gonna sing us out with something dedicated to TBJ.
when I need you, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Thank you for listening to the Nerd School podcast.
They say I can't rap about the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end in racism. Proud of a pessimism, glad to see Obama, but don't expect me not to speak out when I still see problems, Mr. Officer. Now they POTUS look like me, you gon' think again when seeing brothers rolling down the street. Every Martin Luther King on his American dream. Still a Rodney being beaten, screaming fuck the police. Me, I'm running through the pasture, trying to get away from master, but the dogs is on my ass, I gotta move a little faster. Can't pass for Caucasian, but I got a couple papers from the plantation saying I graduated. Congratulations, cool beans, but to most school mean trying to dodge STDs, living off government cheese. Trust the government, please. Not even if it was me sitting in the Oval Office as commander-in-chief, trying to give us free, but there's a nigga in my ear saying, you got it, Superman, you ought to keep it here. Get this distinctly clear, I'm all about jetting. Raps Kunta Kinte without the half-stepping. A new chapter, back with new lessons. After that, the final exam. Any questions?
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.
Excelsior.